So tell me things. How's it going? What do you need? How can I help? What questions do you have?
Um, it's going well. As of late, as of so far, I've only completed the reading response, so I have a lot to do with
The data stuff, yeah.
the data stuff. Yeah.
Have you wrestled at all with the spreadsheets or you still have to do that?
I have Excel and I'm trying to like figure it out. However, I haven't I'm writing my EdPPA, so I haven't
So
really had
that's occupying all your time. When are you submitting the EdPPA, Jackie?
um like around the same time that this is due, so like the end of April.
Okay.
Um,
Tori, is that the same for you?
Yes.
All right, so let's look for a second. I'm just going to look at the due dates for the assignment. Alicia, you're not submitting an EdTPA, are you?
Oh,
Okay, got it.
lucky.
lucky. Yeah.
Well,
I was
just
actually one of the last, before they switched over, like one of the last,
non-EdTPA people.
yeah.
Okay. So I didn't realize about the submission. So let me just look at the assignment for a second.
It's due on the 14th.
And you're submitting around then. So let me just look at the robot stuff. So what we could do, Jackie and Tori, is I could extend the due date for the Unit 3 work. It's just gonna, and I could extend slightly. So what I would do is push back. Currently, everything else is due. The portfolio that you do for me and the robot unit is all due May 3rd. What we could do is I could push the Unit 3 work back a week, making it due on, what is it due? When is it due now? The 14th, the 21st, if that would provide some space. And then I would also then move the robot work back a week and make everything due May 10th. So I'm happy to do that if that would be helpful to the two of you. The only thing that it does is it doesn't give any, I built in a little wiggle room at the end and that's going to go, but that's fine. So would that be helpful to the two of you to have an extra week to do the Unit 3 work?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, yeah, it took you about 10 seconds to decide. So, all right, great. So that's great. And what I would do then is I would do, Tori, if you haven't already, and I didn't check, so forgive me, but I would do the reading response stuff soon, since that, right? If you haven't, Jackie, you said that you had done it. Tori, have you done it already?
Yeah, I just haven't posted it yet.
Okay, great. So I would post that.
Yeah, I'm about 75% done with it, so I haven't posted. So
Okay, great. So I would get to 100%, then post it, and then focus like a bunny rabbit on the EdTPA and get that done and submitted in time, and then cycle back to the remainder of the, cycle back to the remainder of the work for this unit.
yeah.
I've tried the Excel stuff, but like my files haven't, like it keeps saying like my file has been rejected when I've tried to upload the assessment data to Google Spreadsheet.
Yep.
For some reason it's rejecting it.
So there's a couple things. What's probably happening is like you sorted it and then copied it and you're bringing it into Google Sheets, but Google Sheets is still seeing it as a 500,000 row thing. So what I would say is you could do the work in Excel instead of in Google Sheets. The tools are almost the same. So there's I wanted you to have an experience of Google Sheets, but not where it's worth taking a couple hours to get it loaded into Google Sheets. You could do exactly the same thing you do in Excel. So what I would say is, if you're having that problem, Tori, and Jackie, I don't know if you are, just do the data visualization in Excel and leave it there.
Okay.
Is that cool?
Yeah, that might make it easier.
Okay.
There's another thing that you posted there, like creating a chart or something.
Right. So you're gonna do two things. So you're going to there's 2 rounds of the assignment. The first round is in either Excel or Google Sheets. Well, as of now, it's either Excel or Google Sheets. And then the second one is using another tool. I'm forgetting the name, but I'm looking it up now. Data Wrapper. And, you'll see that it just has different tools to make pictures of, for your visualization than does Excel. So you get a different cut at the same data.
Got it.
Jackie, how does that sound for you?
That sounds better because I have an older MacBook, so like some of my I feel like a lot of my apps aren't up to date at the same time.
Right.
So it helps to keep them within one app or one system.
Right, rather than moving around them. Sure.
Yeah, not that moving around is a huge headache. It's just sometimes it just doesn't work for me.
No, I get it. I have let's see, when is it now? I have a 12-year-old MacBook Pro, which I use for exactly one thing.
That's
but-
mine. Mine
But
is
if I do anything else, like try to even search the internet, the lights dim in the house because it goes so slowly and uses so much energy. So I don't usually use it. But
Yeah.
so what I would say to, and Alicia, this may apply to you as well, but just to finish the conversation with Jackie and Tori, if for some reason you're having trouble sorting stuff in Excel, let me know. I'm able to do it pretty easily. And so if I need to create the subset for you, I can do that. I prefer not to, but I don't. Anyway, so just keep me posted with that. But as of now, you have an extra week to do that work. And I'll notify the other 5 people in the class because it should be, I'll make it available to everybody. But that's good. Alicia, how is all this going for you? I know you're having trouble with Excel before. Did all that get worked out, or?
Yeah, it was just actually sorting through what I wanted, being very specific. I was just having trouble with it, but what I ended up doing, I was able to figure it out. But then what helped me was just in terms of using the data wrapper,
Yep.
was I was putting in way too much. I think just I was using way too many districts and I wasn't getting what I wanted to see. So just putting in less data helped me, and then just making different subset groups to show through my story. I posted mine, so I pretty much did what I wanted. The only thing that I wanted to show was to be able to, and I don't even know how I would do this, but in some way just show what I kind of talked to you about on Saturday was the showing the free and reduced lunch program within a district. But it doesn't really match my story. I just for myself wanted to figure out how to do that and show some data.
Well, let's take a look at, let me just open that because I have the data. And so I'm going to share my screen so you can see what I'm doing, even though you may not want to sort the data the way that Alicia is proposing. At least you could kind of have an experience of seeing how to sort it. So it should be this one. No, it should be this one.
It's the Word document, yeah.
Right, I'm opening my data file, not yours.
Oh, okay.
And this is the raw data, so it's 1 million, it's a 500,000 rows. But while that's doing, there's yours. Okay, so you guys should see now Alicia's work. Are you able to see that document?
I just see something that says files.
So do you see, free? Do you see this thing in the middle of the page that says free and reduced lunch plan?
No.
What are you seeing, Tori?
I see Office Calculator files, Google Chrome, Firefox, and Zoom.
Same.
That's weird. Okay, hold on. Okay, so now you don't see anything other than me. Grab this again.
Not such a bad thing. There we go.
Okay, great. So this is Alicia's work. And so you were comparing free and reduced lunch across these 3 districts, Alicia?
Yeah, sorry. I'm like jumping around from screens too. I'm just trying to get back to where I was. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So you looked at the third ELA 3 levels.
Yeah.
So and I haven't looked at this yet, Alicia, so forgive the, so is this the level, the percentage of free and reduced lunch at each of those?
Yeah, out of 100. So Pelham has 8.8% of students who receive free and reduced lunch.
And then Irvington 7.7%. And then
Yes.
in the ELA scores across the board,
For 3rd grade.
you see this distribution. And so
what I was doing originally was I was comparing all 9 or 10 districts that I just had sorted the data for.
yep.
But just to tell more of a story and like kind of show more of like the guidelines of the assignment, I just decided to just show 3 districts that were similar so their data and they had similar numbers in terms of the free and reduced lunch program. So
Yep.
I wanted to see, how, they have students who, like a similar amount of that population, how did they perform? Does it even matter? Did it even matter? But so that's what my story was.
Right, but you wanted to drill a little bit more in detail about free and reduced lunch specifically, right?
What I wanted to do was I wanted to create one chart, not even necessarily like a bar chart that you're seeing here, that showed a district's free and reduced lunch and their levels in one chart.
In one chart, okay, yeah. So that is something. Is this from Data Wrapper, the work that you're showing us here?
Yeah.
Okay, so it looks like you can't combine dependent variables in the way that you want to, unfortunately.
Right. So that's why I just decided putting it in the document the way that I did. I felt like you can still see it.
Yep.
But I was just trying to work through that myself. But I said that in my reflection.
Yep. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. And thanks for letting us take a look at it together.
Sure.
So it's interesting. I'm looking at the trends.
Mm-hmm.
And so
they are performing pretty similarly.
They are, and you see an increase in level 1s as the years go by, as the cohorts go by, which is
a good thing.
So that's all the same year. So it's not the same cohort against 3 years. It's 3 cohorts in the same year, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So it would be interesting to see, because that pattern. Jackie and Tori, do you see what I'm pointing out here? This is separate than the technology for doing it, but what you see is that I'm looking at level 1s and 2s, and what should happen as the students progress is you should see 1s and 2s going to 3s and 4s, but you don't see that. You see the 1s actually getting bigger as the kids get older. Not hugely bigger, but bigger. So you see
especially in Cortland Harmon. Wow.
Yeah, that's my own district. I'm not that happy about those results.
I know, that's part of the reason why I chose to compare it. But they did come out. It was interesting. So actually, Pelham is my district. Irvington is my fiance's district where he grew up. And I knew, Dr. Ardito, that you were Croton Harmon. And they had similar the free and reduced lunch program levels. So I was like, oh, this will be interesting for all of us. And I showed Darian too. So it was just funny.
Really interesting.
So
I want to play around a little bit to see if there's a way I could figure out how to do what you intended to do. If I come up with something, I'll share it with you.
Okay. You can see at the bottom of my document, I put in the data, like that's from Google Sheets if you wanted to. So we have the number tested, I didn't do anything with the refused. That's the refused lunch. I mean, sorry, not refused lunch. That would be bad.
Opted out of the test.
The free lunch, yes. And then each level, and then the 3s and 4s.
And the reason why I started to open the spreadsheet was to see if, can you disaggregate for the same district, can you compare free and reduced lunch to non-free and reduced lunch?
I didn't get that data. I got this data from the remember I told you my assistant principal superintendent shared with me the free and reduced lunch.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, good. All right. Well, let me see what I could do with it. If I come up with anything exciting, I'll share it with you. And otherwise, this is totally fine.
Okay, great.
So, okay, good. And then, so Alicia, what remains for you then is you're working with Data Wrapper now? Or you're done with that too?
I'm done. Yeah, that's
all right, you're done completely. Okay.
That's in here, yeah. That the Data Wrapper is those attached.
Okay. These are the Data Wrapper ones.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Tori and Jackie, I hope it was helpful to kind of look at a live project. Okay. And what other questions do you have, or concerns, or needs for support, or anything like that?
I don't have any, I guess, crazy questions about Excel at the moment in my data, because I haven't gotten as far along enough to have specific little questions. But I just wanted to see, it really helped to see what the project looked like, so that I know, when I do start working on it intensely, exactly what it should look like, and what type of data I should be looking through, and and I'm glad I don't have to transfer it.
Yeah, the transferring, that will save you a fair amount of time. But I would say so, and Alicia, it would be great to hear your experience, but I know what I have been working on, as I did in the video that I made for the class, is looking at charter school performance versus public school performance, because that's interesting to me. Mm-hmm. And typically, at least in the charter schools' self-produced materials, they tend to be overinflated, or they tend to be inflated, which is the kid, they report high, not average.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them for doing it, because it's, it's public relations and all that stuff. But I'm interested in, and I'm not saying everyone, is misleading, but there is kind of a quality of can't quite tell what's real or not. So I'm looking at that. So I think for both Jackie and Tori, and Tori, you may have already dealt with this, but start to think about the questions you might be interested in, and that will then determine what data you select and leave out. And then you're going to say, well, all right, what do I know about this? And at that point, I would just start playing with a number of graphs and charts just to see what pops out, and then you could refine it further. And I will say, if you're in the middle of it and you get stuck, then we could do a call or something and work it through together, if that would be helpful. But I think that's the way to approach it.
Okay.
When you say choosing the information, the data, do you mean how Alicia chose the free or reduced lunch? Is that what you mean by that?
Right. So in other words, I started, I know this because she and I talked about it on Saturday. She was really interested in the impact, the relationship between free and reduced lunch and students' performance, right? It's an indication of level of poverty or level of economic disparity in the district, and that could be potentially really meaningful, right? Although I'm kind of shocked that it's as high as it is in those 3 districts. 10, almost 10% is higher than I would have guessed. So I'm not speaking for Alicia, but what I heard and what she was telling me is it's got kind of it's an issue of equality, right? What is an impact of economic levels and whatever else that might mean in an otherwise affluent district, right? Yeah. It isn't just and again, Alicia, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but it's not free and reduced lunch in Mount Vernon, which has almost 100%, or Peekskill, which has almost 100% free and reduced lunch. What is it like in a district that is generally more affluent, and what is that, are those, their broader implications? Are those children being educated equally? Are they given equal opportunities? Does their home life affect what happens in school, right? All those kinds of things. So again, Alicia, I'm not putting those words in your mouth, but I can imagine having those things. So Tori, as you're looking at the data, you may say, well, you know what I care about is my home district was blah, 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 and our football rival was this, so I'm really interested in those two to see. It could be broader questions like the ones Alicia, and I don't mean that to be completely trivial. I just mean that would be legitimate. It could be like Pecantico Hills is interesting because it's a K-8 district only. So it's this weird Rockefeller-founded town that is only K-8, and so the students go to high school in Briarcliff, Pleasantville, or Terrytown.
Oh, I mean, not Elmsford. Yeah, Terrytown.
Terrytown, right? So it might be interesting to look at. So you might say, well, I'm kind of interested in that because whatever, and now compare middle school to high school in those districts to see how does the handoff go. So
That was my question.
my point, I'm sorry, Jackie.
That was my question is like, could we research data that's within one district? So like
Absolutely. So you may say,
certain
all right.
modifications for one group of kids that
Yeah.
aren't available for another.
right,
And
well,
so
and you and truthfully, you can only see what's in the data. So there, in some cases, like the free and reduced lunch becomes a proxy for something else, right? Because free and reduced lunch is determined by income levels, and so it's not a direct measurement of poverty, but it's close, right? It's closer than anything else. So you may say, all right, well, I'm interested in a district, I'm interested in girls versus boys, in whites versus non-whites,
yeah.
right? So you could break it down that way too.
Okay.
I mean, the one thing I'll caution you about is once you get into it, it's really hard to take yourself out of the rabbit hole because you keep having questions and pursuing them. So I'm not going to stop you, but I'm just going to say that, I've spent way too many late nights screwing around with this, and I've had to stop myself to say, I have to perform at 7:00 tomorrow morning. I really have to. But you're going to ask the questions that you have. So looking at a district, looking at boys versus girls, third graders versus fourth graders, math versus ELA, whites, non-whites, or I only care about Latinos and African Americans. That's all I care about, right? So, but yes, you interrogate the data to answer the questions you have, but it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be
Institution versus institution.
right.
Okay.
Well, I would say it slightly differently. You could go as far or not as you want to.
Okay. All righty.
The goal of this assignment is under the assumption that most of you, if not all of you, have not had experience looking at this data and telling a story with it. So telling the story is what's important. The story you tell is up to you.
I guess it also depends on how, like, broad you want your scope to be. Like, if you're comparing, like, school to school, state to state, but then if you're in one district, you're looking at the nitty gritty. So I think it depends on that too, like what you're really interested in. I know that if I'm like trying to prevent myself from doing this. I know that if I compared schools, I would be like, oh, what about this? Well, what about this? Like, what is this impact? Like, why is this happening? Because like, I'm just like that, and I'd be driving myself crazy. So I think it's best that I stick to one district. So I'm going to try to do that.
Yeah, and you start there, and you may say, well, okay, this didn't take me as long as it did, so I'm willing to compare two districts now because I have more time than I thought I did. So yes, I would start small and then get bigger if you want to.
Okay.
Cool.
Sounds good.
I had a question about something in the instructions.
Yes, please.
I see something that says like apply some formatting, like color coding and all that stuff. I haven't gotten that far, so it's kind of confusing to me. But and like you said something about sorting, but I haven't I haven't sorted anything because I was just trying to like open
The data file, and it was right.
yeah, and it just wasn't working. So is that gonna like make more sense to me, or should I be thinking about it in more plain terms? Because apply conditional formatting, something color coding. I don't
Okay,
know.
so let's look at this. So I think that you're collapsing two things. The first thing is you're going to read the stuff that you read from that literacy textbook, and then you're going to respond to it. And I've asked you to color code your responses. So and there's instructions for that in the assignment.
No, it's not that. This is for the actual project. Like in the instructions, it says like color coding like the social economic factors and average student achievement in math and literacy. Analyze the data using color coding, filtering, and sorting in order to identify new inquiries.
Got it. So yeah, so you're going to use the sorting and some conditional formatting that'll help you show, but don't be too crazy about that as long as you can tell a story with the data using Excel or Google Sheets to do it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
for now, so what I would say, Tori, is given your current level of experience with this assignment was geared to people who have more experience doing this kind of thing than you might.
Yeah.
So let's start by telling a story with charts, and then if there's time, let's talk about conditional formatting. But for now, just do the sorting and the charting.
You know, it's just sometimes like the wording just kind of tricks you.
Yeah. So just to show you, well, just to talk it through. So the conditional formatting means, so I could go into Excel and I could say, I'm going to look at, so Jackie, what district did you want to focus on?
Well, ideally the one I'm in now,
Which
just 'cause
is?
it would be the most convenient, Pleasantville.
Great. So Jackie goes into the sheet and she sorts the data for Pleasantville. Then she decides, okay, I care about ELA and math in fourth grade, or let's just say that for now, ELA and math in fourth grade. And so what she could do is tell Excel to make all the ones one color, all the twos another color, all the threes a third color, all the fours a fourth color, and that would be a demonstration of what you would call conditional formatting. The formatting is based on the value contained in the cell. Some of that's going to get taken care of when you just do the picture anyway. So, but that's all that means, Tori, is, and if you want to give that a try, by all means do. If you don't do it, I'm not making it a hard requirement. The telling the story is a hard requirement. Whether you do it with conditional formatting is up to how much you're willing to experiment with it.
I
Okay.
have a question.
Yeah, please.
So you said before that if we weren't too familiar with Excel, we could use Google Sheets. So one or the other?
Right. What I would say is you could do it in any spreadsheet tool. The
Okay.
two most popular ones are Excel and Google Sheets. Will have a feature where you identify a set of data and it will generate a chart for you. And then you can fine tune it to make the chart more or less detailed, and you control some parameters. But yes, go ahead.
Okay. That was my question.
Okay. And if you need help doing that, just let me know, and I can do either a session like this live, or I could do a tutorial to kind of walk through an example of it.
The YouTube video has helped me.
Okay, great.
So that as well.
I have the world's least likely subscribed channel, but I feel good about the work.
Aw. It's really hard to get recognized on YouTube, so don't.
No, it's understanding. You know, this topic is, of course, just as popular as playing Fortnite. So I understand.
Exactly. For some people, it is though.
No, I know, and this is, you know, I'm a very big fish in a very, very, very small pond, so I understand.
Yeah.
Don't worry, you'll get your views up there.
Oh, thanks. so then I can retire from teaching from my 3 views. And
Yay.
it'll be incredible.
I'll post the link all over
We could
social
compare
media.
your views from now and then when you retire.
There you go.
That's funny.
All right. No more questions here.
Okay, great. Jackie, anything else for you?
I'm okay, thank you.
Okay, great. Alicia, how about for you?
I think I'm good. I've been working more on just separately the website because all of my robots were delivered. I think I'm just going to focus on that, and then I'll be able to offer that to the district for teachers for next year.
Yep.
Kind of like almost like I'm not sure if I'll go specific. I want to go specifically into like lessons, but more of like a tutorial, almost like a PD.
Yep.
On the robots, and then offer some stuff for that maker club for next year. So that's my plan.
So something to know, which is in the PD that you're designing. So for Tori and Jackie, Alicia and Susie have, they're in a different place in the program. Well, they're in the EdTech program and they're in a different place than you guys are. And so they're doing some additional curriculum work as part of their master's program. So Alicia, something we could talk about it at some point if it seems of any interest is PACE is a provider, is a registered provider of those CLTE credits or CTLE credits, whatever they are. And so if your teachers wanted to obtain that kind of credit for the workshop for the PD you want to do with them over the summer, we could offer it through PACE and offer them, some number of those credits. I'm not suggesting that, but if that's, as you're talking to people, if that's of interest to them, we could do that too.
Someone just mentioned it to me today. So what I can do is, but would that mean, so would that be like a day course?
No, it wouldn't necessarily be. It would be, and maybe you and I talk about it offline just because, I'm happy to include Jackie and Tori, but it doesn't have to look a particular way. You have to be able to document that they spent so many hours doing that work. But it could be, if you put it online and they had to turn in something at the end of it and you felt like that end work was worth N number of hours. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not trying to move you in that direction. I'm saying if that was of interest to you and to your colleagues, we can do that.
Okay. I'll run it by Dr. Callahan. I'll see him tomorrow.
Yeah, see, and if it is, then we could talk further. If it's not, it's no problem. It's not a part of it doesn't have to be a part of what you're doing, but I just was thinking about it, and so why not?
Okay. Sounds good.
Okay, cool. All right, well, as always, it's great being with you. I know that I think I've said this before, but I know that it's weird as a student being in online class, but it's really weird being a professor in online class and almost never seeing anybody. So these sessions are really valuable to me. Tori, I've been thinking about your blanket all week, so that was great. And but if you need me as you're working, if you need anything, as always, reach out. And otherwise, we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.